So I recently watched a couple episodes of Sister Wives, that new TLC show that has recently been produced. And I have to say that my life couldn't have been more different. I was raised in a polygamous family. And my life was just very, very different. I couldn't relate to anything. There was not a single thing after watching that show that I could relate to that was the same as my own upbringing. That's how different it is. First of all, number one, their family is tiny. They hardly have any people in their family. That was the first major thing that I noticed. I grew up with 45 brothers and sisters. We all lived in one house, and the mothers did not have their own separate apartments. My mother had a bedroom. It was 6 feet by 7 feet, approximately. She could barely fit a twin-size bed and a dresser and a chair in it. It was a small room. That was her personal space. And even that wasn't personal, because everybody was constantly going in there and using her room for who knows what, putting a baby to sleep, just fishing into one of her drawers looking for a screwdriver. She had absolutely no privacy. That was really different. Each one of these wives had their own apartment while they lived in the same house. They didn't actually share the same space. I'm not recommending that it's a good idea to cram 46 children into one house with 6 wives and a husband. That's just a recipe for disaster. But the show illustrates a very different kind of polygamous lifestyle. The second thing I noticed was that the Brown family is very liberal. We were not allowed to dress in such modern attire. We were not allowed to cut our hair. We were not allowed to wear makeup, earrings, any kind of decoration. Anything that was fashionable was considered wrong. It was not to be worn, and if you were wearing it, that was tantamount to a statement of apostasy. You wanted to abandon your religion. So that was another really different thing. The dad, his long hair, there's this clip on the internet where he talks about his long hair. And long hair was considered evil for men to wear long hair. It was very much frowned upon. So I'm watching all these different things and I'm thinking, this wasn't anything like the way that I grew up. And I personally don't think that the Brown family represents the vast majority of practicing polygamists today. Now, polygamy has evolved over the years. I was born in the 70s and raised during that time period when there was a great deal of secrecy and fear. Definitely a lot more fear than there is today. And so my life was naturally going to be different than kids being raised in a more modern society. And every culture evolves over time. Still, I think the Brown family is kind of a fringe family. Somebody who's living on the edge. They don't really represent the way polygamy is practiced in our modern times. There were a lot of little things as well. The women wearing pants, that was really different. The hairstyles, the women wearing their hair down, all of those were big no-nos in the group that I was raised in. And the women always wore their hair up in a bun with their hair pulled away from their faces. So that seemed really different. The public school, the kids going to public school, we never had any of that. I was homeschooled from kindergarten to about the 5th grade. And then I was pulled out of school. I had to work. There wasn't enough people in the house to keep the house running. So I was needed to go do laundry or clean or cook, whatever it was. It takes a lot of manpower to run a household with 40 some odd kids living in it. And so work became the primary purpose for life. I got up early in the morning and I worked all day long until night. And that was what I did with my time. I didn't have friends other than my brothers and sisters. I didn't have outside activities. I didn't even have inside activities. The only thing I ever did was work. Work, work, and more work. And I think that that is probably more on the extreme, especially for today. I don't think all modern polygamous families work their kids as hard as we were worked. Part of that was due to the secrecy in our family and how all of us had to be kept under control. And work was used as a powerful means of control.